This is going ahead. There is no way. The government can say what it wants, and they have been saying, please call it off last minute. They're not going to call it off. It's going ahead. We are set in for a really bumpy period over this week, and indeed it could be that this stretches on into the new year as well. That's what I think the government is more focused on. We've heard a lot about the potential legislation that may well be brought forward for minimum service requirements, not just initially, as we thought, on the railways, but this could be applied to other areas as well. But there's no way that legislation comes about this week. Parliament sits today and tomorrow, and then they're in recess until the 7th of January. And then after that point, there could be the process for legislation, but it takes time.
Yeah, but the thing is, as well, it doesn't solve the problem of recruitment and retention. In fact, some would argue that it makes it even worse. If nurses are deciding that they are in such a state at the moment that they have to strike, it's also important to say that when people look at the strike action now, it can make it seem as though every single nurse in the country has decided to down tools. That is simply not the case. The Royal College of Nursing represents, I think, it's about 100,000 nurses, and the way that they calculated the result of their ballot was done essentially by district, by hospital trust, and not a straightforward 50-50 vote, more of an aggregated vote. So realistically, it's not like every single nurse wants to go on strike, but enough of them do, and that's important to know. But just sitting there and reducing their legal ability to strike doesn't make it any easier to solve the recruitment crisis, does it?
No, it doesn't. And also, this is a crisis that is really born of so many different factors. We've got an ageing population. We've got a population that thankfully is living longer, as well as more people approaching the age where they might require these services more, which means, and here's a really remarkable set of statistics. At the turn of the last decade, 2010...
This better be remarkable now.
2010 to 2011, the funding that the NHS received, that the health service in the United Kingdom received, £130.2 billion a year.
Right, yes, I'm with you.
2010-11.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is this year?
Well, I do, because I read your tweet, but carry on.
£180.2 billion, inflation-adjusted real terms. That's 40% more money.
In real terms?
In real terms, 40% more money going into the NHS now than at the start of the last decade. And yet it doesn't feel like it.
No.
Waiting times are up. The number of nurses and indeed number of doctors are up as well, but it feels like they're much more stretched than before. And to that extent, when we're looking at all of these different questions of funding and how much money is put into the thing, billions upon billions, tens of billions upon tens of billions of pounds have been put into the NHS. It's well above the OECD average for health systems funding now. And that wasn't always the case in the past, but it certainly is now. And so we have to really start looking at the question about how is this money being spent?